This is the WJTS News. In tonight's news, we'll have the last in a series of WBDC Country Showdown contestant previews. A date has been set for the new Parklands dedication. Results are in from Spencer County Relay for Life, and sunny weather hangs around until the weekend. Kerry Schneider pays his usual visit to the Humane Society. Inform will feature executives from the Girl Scouts of Southwestern Indiana, and Bill Potter is here with sports. All this and more on Channel 18 WJTS News. Good evening, I'm Jurnee Davis with WJTS News. Officials with the Jasper Street Department spent their day, along with their contractor, Calcar Paving, milling asphalt from Scenic Court and Cobblestone Road. Scenic Court was paved today, however, Cobblestone Road is scheduled to be paved tomorrow. The department says these streets will be open to local traffic, but motorists should expect delays. This project will continue barring inclement weather or any other unforeseen events. Officials with the Jasper Park and Recreation Department have set an official date for the dedication and grand opening of the Parklands of Jasper. The $7 million Parklands grounds, which sits on what was once the Jasper Country Club's golf course, will have trails, 3 ponds, adventure playgrounds, fitness pods, a splash pad, and a pavilion. Parks Director Ken Buck says the Parklands will hold a special dedication ceremony Saturday, July 7th at 10:30 a.m. in the pavilion located within the park with a ribbon cutting on the boardwalk. They will also hold an official grand opening to the public at 1 p.m. that afternoon. Residents are still reminded that the property is currently a construction site and remains closed to the public. The 2018 Spencer County Relay for Life Highway to Hope followed a path of success, raising approximately $41,000 for the American Cancer Society. The event was held this past weekend from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. at the AEP Honey Creek Farm north of Rockport. Relay for Life is a grassroots, community-based team event held in counties throughout the United States to benefit the American Cancer Society. And although every event is different, they do have a few things in common. Survivors and caregivers who are the heart and soul of Relay for Life events are honored for their strength and courage with every step they take. Faith Schaefer, chairperson and coordinator of the Spencer County Relay for Life, was pleased with the $41,000 raised and emphasized that the event is always centered around those who have survived cancer. OWI charges, among others, are pending against a Lawrence County woman after authorities say she crashed her vehicle in a Shoals grocery store parking lot over the weekend, drove away from the scene, then just moments later wrecked her vehicle again at a nearby drive-in. Just after 8:30 a.m. Sunday, the Martin County Sheriff's Office received a report of a 2-vehicle crash in the JC Food Store parking lot in Shoals. Minutes later, authorities learned that one of the vehicles involved had fled the scene. About 10 minutes later, the Sheriff's Office received a report that that same vehicle involved in the crash in the JC store lot had crashed into a trash can and a support beam at the Bomax Drive-In. A Martin County deputy, with the assistance of the Lagodi Police Department, responded to the second crash scene. An officer with the Lagodi Police Department assisted by detaining the driver, Bridget Adams of Bedford, until the deputy could arrive. The deputy noticed a strong odor of alcohol coming from Adams. A field sobriety test was administered and Adams was taken into custody and transported to Daviess County Community Hospital, where she submitted to a blood sample for testing for operating while intoxicated. Authorities say Adams' blood alcohol content registered at 0.418%, more than 4 times the legal limit. Adams was released into the care of Daviess Community Hospital, with charges pending in Martin County. Evansville police say a man who shot and killed an intruder Saturday morning has been arrested for drug dealing. 48-year-old Ricky Boyd is facing a preliminary charge of dealing in marijuana. The suspect in the robbery, Eric Thomas, died after being shot by Boyd. During the investigation, police recovered about a half-pound of marijuana from Boyd's vehicle. Other items were found at the scene that indicated Boyd was dealing marijuana. Police say it appears that Boyd was specifically targeted. Boyd is on a federal parole from a previous drug dealing arrest in Texas. The investigation is still ongoing. The text to 911 service is available in now all 92 counties in Indiana, which is also the only state with the capability for dispatch operators to send return texts. A text comes into a 911 center somewhere in the state between 500 and 600 times a day. The service exists to protect those who may be confined in their homes or cars and are afraid to call police to speak with the dispatcher. The text to 911 service is also for those who are deaf, hearing impaired, or speech impaired. The technology first became available in some parts of Indiana in 2014. About 11 million calls and more than 14,000 texts were received last year by 911 centers throughout the state. The Paoli School Board is once again looking for a superintendent. President Lila Tucker says that newly hired John Bennett did not begin his duties this past Friday as planned. She could not, however, elaborate on why due to it being a personal matter. Bennett, from Huntington County, was approved to fill the position on May 14th. The superintendent's position will again be posted and a public hearing scheduled, but no dates have yet been set for that meeting. Current interim superintendent Gerald Jackson has agreed to continue serving until a new one is hired. Gerald was first named interim superintendent after former superintendent Casey Brewster resigned. Brewster was suspended for failure to manage the financial affairs of the school corporation in a prudent, reasonable, or professional manner, placing the corporation in financial distress and failure to make satisfactory progress in academic affairs, as reflected in corporation standardized test scores, Indiana Department of Education regulatory actions, and the absence of a suitable academic plan. Brewster resigned before the school board could vote on whether or not to terminate his contract. The WBDC Country Showdown will be held at the Jasper Arts Center this Thursday, June 7th, showcasing talent from across the area. Channel 18 WJTS TV reporter Zach Ruber will be presenting the contestants for this year's showdown so that you can get a preview of the talent.
Today in the final edition of our 2018 WBDC Country Showdown Performer Series, we will take a look at 3 of our contestants, all of who are new to the showdown. First, we've talked to a man by the name of Rick Van Winkle over the phone about his performance. Rick, who's a 28-year-old from Newburgh, Indiana, started playing at a young age with his father teaching him guitar. Rick says his father teaching him has inspired him to continue his drive to play music, as well as his mother and wife. Rick says although he grew up on country's Mount Rushmore, he likes his country with a little edge to it, like that of Travis Tritt.
I grew up on like George Jones and Elvis and Merle Haggard and all that good stuff, Johnny Cash. But I always kind of leaned more towards the stuff that had an aggressive sound to it. So like, Travis Tritt, something with some edge, like Travis Tritt said, put some drive in your country. That's kind of how it was for me. I like country with, some drive to it.
Rick plans on playing Nobody to Blame by Chris Stapleton at the showdown, as well as Whipping Post by the Allman Brothers. If Rick is to win the showdown and win the $1,000 grand prize, he put it towards his baby that's on the way.
Father, can you take away these tears?
The next contestant we spoke with is the daughter of a contestant in years past.
My name is Erin Summer. I'm 15 years old and I'm from Tell City, Indiana.
Music has always played a big part in Erin's life, with her father, Carl Summer, who performed in 2015 in the WBDC Country Showdown, being a musician as well. Erin finds her musical inspiration in the likes of John Mayer and the Lumineers, but her biggest inspiration is her father.
Honestly, my biggest inspiration for music would be my dad, because if it weren't for him, I probably wouldn't be as into music. Because, like I mentioned earlier before, I had grown up around it because he'd been in a band all my life. And he taught me, my first few chords on the guitar, and he's always been the one to motivate me and, be like, to support me in my path in music. So.
Aaron plans on playing a huge hit in today's country music as well as an original song.
I'm going to be doing 2 songs. One, My Church by Mara Morris, and I just really like that song. It's a fun, upbeat song, and it kind of showcases my voice in all its different aspects. And then I chose to do an original song I wrote called Heart's Not Made for You, and that's just to kind of give the audience a look at the more emotional side of me and who I am as an artist, my writing style.
If Aaron is to win the WBDC Country Showdown and win the $1,000 grand prize, she will put the money towards a prized guitar.
I just traded in my most valuable guitar to get store credit, and I actually need $1,000 to get the remainder. For the remainder of the cost of the guitar I want to get, and so it would probably go towards that.
And now we will take a look at a woman who is the final performer in our WBDC Country Showdown Performer Series.
My name is Hannah Combs. I am, I believe, 27 at this moment, but you stop counting at 25. And I live in French Lick, Indiana.
Safe with me whenever there's a way.
Hannah Combs comes from a musical family and has known music since her childhood.
My family is very musical, and we have always had something to do with singing, performing, whether it is instrument or vocal. My first debut, I was probably 3 or 4 years old, and my mother was in a band, and she had me sing this song that they wrote. And apparently I hit all the notes, and I hit all my time and all my tempo and everywhere it was supposed to be. And I was little, so I think that's whenever they started being like, oh, this is something that she's probably going to be interested in. So I don't think it's so much what drew me towards music. I feel like that's just a part of how I was raised and just a part of who we are as a family and now me as a person.
One would find that Hannah's musical taste spans all different genres, with her favorite band of all time being Heart for the Wilson sisters' vocal and musical talent. Hannah also loves Tammy Wynette, Patsy Cline, and other classic female country stars, as well as being a huge musical fan, with her mother being a big influence on how she has shaped her musical taste.
Without my mom being so musically talented, she has always played guitar, she's a really good singer, and I feel like she gave us a really broad span of music since we were little. I just remember being tiny and knowing all of these harder rock songs and classic rock songs and country songs and songs from musicals and movies and just old rhymey songs and just this entire span of everything. I used to have friends that would joke with me, and they're like, is there a song you don't know? And I'd be like, actually, no, I don't think so. I know pretty much every song because of her, so I feel like she's really influenced that with both myself and my sister. If she were here to answer, she'd say the same thing. So I blame my mom.
Running free, yeah, let's go.
Hannah plans on keeping the song she's singing for the showdown a secret, but plans on giving tribute to the greats of country music. And if she wins the showdown,
there are 3 things that I'm possibly interested in doing if I win. Number 1, my husband told me, after much begging and crying, that I could use the money to buy a puppy of my choosing. Now he's kind of like, I don't really want another dog. So I'm probably going to get a puppy regardless. So that's one option. Option 2, you could always pay your property taxes, but that's boring. So option 3, I'm thinking about going on a historical country tour and going to all of the American landmarks on the East Coast and kind of jumping through history and seeing all that stuff, because I think it'd be really cool to do, especially that'd be a good chunk towards that idea. So, but honestly, probably a puppy.
Who will take the title of Country Showdown champion this year? Will it be Hannah Combs, Aaron Summer, or Rick Van Winkle? Find out June 7th at the Jasper Arts Center as WBDC takes the stage for the 37th annual WBDC Country Showdown. Tickets are on sale now. Join us at the Jasper Arts Center this Thursday for the 37th annual WBDC Country Showdown.
Thank you, Zach. Again, tickets for the WBDC Country Showdown are on sale now at the studios of WJTS and WBDC at 458 3rd Avenue in Jasper. That's been a look at your local news. Stay tuned as we have Carrie Schneider, who is at the DuBois County Humane Society again this week. Then it's your local outlook and weather forecast. Plus, coming up on WJTS Inform, we feature executives from the Girl Scouts of Southwestern Indiana.